Hi, my name is Liz Hathaway and this is my look at the week ahead, and it's the week starting December 7th, 2020. So there's a kind of a restless feel, I think, at the beginning of the week. We have the moon in Virgo, which is renowned for its attention to detail, it has this service orientation, it wants to be helpful, but it is very much about the nitty gritty, getting down to the nitty gritty, not overlooking the fine print, the details of things. Whereas the moon opposite Neptune and this T-square that's coming in at the beginning of the week to Mercury and the sun in Sagittarius is setting the week up in a way, because we have, on the one hand, this is all mutable energy, so therefore it's restless, it wants things to move forward, it wants to have results, it wants to kind of rush ahead of itself in a way. And this moon in Virgo is constantly drawing the energy back down into the little nitty gritty things. So that is a source of agitation and a source of irritation. Sagittarius is very inclined to want to just see the big sweep of the land. It doesn't want to get bogged down. It doesn't want to get caught up in things. It wants to keep this energy moving forward, particularly because the sun and Mercury are coming into a trine with Mars. Forget, Mars has been retrograde for a lot of the autumn. So Mars is now as well moving forward. So from this energy, this fire energy really wants to push the agenda forward and wants to charge at it. But there's this dragging of the feet with the moon in Virgo. No, we have to keep an eye on the detail. And certainly Neptune in Pisces, yeah, I mean, that is serious, sort of getting bogged down. And also, if we think of talks or negotiations and things like that, with Neptune in the picture, there's a possibility as well of some mistrust, some sense of the other party pulling the wool over your eyes or not being completely honest. So because Neptune is always a difficult one to pin down, to put your finger exactly on, this is the source of the problem. So the beginning of the week has its own sort of level of difficulty, if you like, things to negotiate. And it's quite tricky. Also because it's mutable and it's restless and it wants to race ahead. So you can imagine for the UK, that has Mercury in Sagittarius and secondary progressed ascendant at the moment in 20 whatever Gemini, this edge now of the negotiations, this final push, this final, trying to make things definite with the EU, trying to close that deal, if you like. It's really difficult now at this point because the energy around the talks is very Neptunian. It's very, because Neptune is the slowest mover here, is the one that really puts a lot of weight down this week. So very tricky beginning, even though we can see that the moon later will go on and it'll trine Pluto, trine Jupiter, trine Saturn. So it's like bog down, move forward. And that's particularly the colour in the beginning of the week. And the Sun square Neptune is exact on Wednesday. So yeah, Sun square Neptune, I mean, for us on a personal level, it can be, a day where we just get bogged down in things maybe, we don't get as many things together as we'd like. But it's also a moment of empathy, if you want to donate something to your local food bank or, want to give away a winter coat or, it's that kind of energy as well, giving and recognizing people who are a lot worse off than yourself, than you are. So there's that feeling of connecting with other people in a way that wants to do good, because the sun is in Sag, right? I mean, the sun in Sag it wants to play Father Christmas. It wants to give. It wants to be generous. So we can be generous on Wednesday. But on the other hand, make sure if you give a coat away, you've checked the pockets, because you might find later that, your watch was broken and you'd put it in your pocket or something like that, So we need to be mindful on days when the sun square Neptune, and certainly this week, because after the sun has squared Neptune on Sunday, it'll square Mercury as well. So Neptune is a player this week. And if we sort of tie that back into the negotiations with the EU, the UK EU, we can see that this whole issue of fishing rights linked as it is to Ireland's fishing waters, Scotland's fishing waters, and these are countries that are proving quite difficult to be part of the union at the moment of the UK. That these fishing rights and this small part of the UK market, how important suddenly they have become, this area of fishing. I find that quite fascinating. What we also have this week is a T-square coming out as well, because the moon goes into Libra on Wednesday. So we first off have a mutable T-square with the Sun and Mercury as focal planet. But then we get the second sort of T-square coming in with the moon in Libra opposite Mars, squaring Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto. That is a very driven cardinal signs. Again, they want to move forward. And if we look at Saturn now, it's ready to move. It's ready to move house. It's at the very late degree now of Capricorn. Sun is in Capricorn, of course, in the UK chart. So it wants to take the next step. It wants to exit. It's played out basically in Capricorn now. It's out of steam. You know, it's sort of really ready to put down some kind of roots in Aquarius. It wants to shift. So it's kind of that feeling of last minuteness to a lot of affairs, I think, where this Saturn is in your natal chart, for example, and the houses that, you know, the Capricorn houses of your chart or house of your chart, affairs in connection with that area, those areas of your life. You know, you're really pushing it now. You've got to get the deal done. You've got to get it sorted. And it is difficult in eclipse season as well to know exactly how things are going to pan out, because things often don't turn out as expected. You know, it's a sort of, thinking of the Crowley Tarot, it's that, you know, that one extra card in the pack that, you know, is a surprise. You know, what can that bring? We don't know. So there's a lot of don't knows, I think, in this week, to be honest. Friday we get Sun trine Mars. So yeah, there is, as I say, there is a lot of fire support for Sun and Mercury, but these are faster moving planets, and really the weight of the planets are behind, you know, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune and Pluto. These are the real the heavyweights, if you like. So Friday, Sun trine Mars, on a personal level, we can get things done. We can move forward in the areas where these planets are. But there is, as well, when we get to Sunday, Mercury squaring Neptune, there is still that sense of, obstacles or setbacks, or, you know, things, like getting us bogged down, if you like, that we can't quite get an angle on it to really make that step. Mercury, I have to say, is of course Mercury in Sag in the UK horoscope in the 3rd house. It is all about trade. Mercury square Neptune, you know, that is a difficult obstacle in the path there, having to swim around it, having to fish about and hope that you catch something, you know, that can take you into the next step. But in eclipse season as well, I think for the negotiations with the EU, this really is looking quite tricky. So it's a kind of this, which belongs to Sagittarius, right? I mean, Sagittarius, you know, it shoots its arrow and everybody, you know, is supposed to go galloping after it. But, you know, an arrow has to reach the ground eventually. So Sagittarius has that up and down quality. And I think we're going to see that reflected in the week. Also in our inner landscape, that's Neptune as well. Moments of feeling possibly elated, which is very Neptunian, but also moments of feeling quite despondent or low energy, or, you know, feeling the toll of what has been for many people a really, really difficult year. Okay, thank you for listening. Have a great week. That was my look at it. Bye.